Responsive containers, like the gray bar at the top here and the image below, want to reshape and take up all the space made available to them. That means whatever width or height or aspect ratio your container has when it gets loaded into the browser, when you make the viewport narrower, the container is squished and the aspect ratio changes. So I start with a square image, but as I reduce the width of my browser, the image does not stay square. Now, in this case, in my example, it's because I've set the max inline size of the image to 50ch. That's so that it remains responsive. And then I've set the block size, meaning the vertical display size in this case, also to 50h, but this is a fixed size. The reason for that is if I take away the block size, we get the intrinsic aspect ratio of the image, and it's no longer a square. Now, of course, if it isn't a square, then it'll actually resize properly. But if I want it to be a square, so I want to use CSS to crop the image, I am in a bit of a bind. Now, there have been workarounds for this problem for some time, but all of them are pretty hacky and they involve some form of adding extra HTML markup and then tricking the browser using padding and negative margin and a bunch of other stuff, which is never a great thing. We now have a CSS property specifically for solving this problem. Aspect ratio. And it can be applied to any element, and when it's applied, it forces the box into that aspect ratio. So for my square image down here, instead of doing this, which is not working, I will simply take the block size away, and at the bottom here, I'll say aspect ratio 1:1. So 1/1. Save that, and it appears as if nothing changed in the browser. But if I now reduce the viewport width, you'll see that the image retains its aspect ratio as a square. So we are now imposing an aspect ratio on the image, and it'll remain a square no matter what space is available to it. That's the whole point of this property. You can see another example if we apply it to this container up here. So we have a regular container that just has a single line of text. And normally it will show the intrinsic height of the content inside, which is just this single line of text. But if I go up here and say aspect ratio, and then set it to 16:9, which is a standard widescreen display that you would see in a video. Save, and look at that. We now have a widescreen box. So this will also always retain its shape, 16:9, no matter what happens, which is really useful if you are going to post videos, because as you have experienced, if you've ever tried to create responsive videos, you have to apply a hack just to get the box that contains the video to not scale in a weird way. You no longer have to. Aspect ratio does that work for you. Now, the aspect ratio property is relatively new, and as of this recording, it's not supported in all browsers. But I expect we will see support in the very near future because this eliminates the need for a bunch of costly and complex CSS hacks in JavaScript, and this is something the web development community has been asking for a very long time.